Welcome to the second installment of AutoAudiography. Getting better at saying it. The crossover series that Scott, running with Comics and I, decided to do together. Is it a crossover from any of the other videos? Don't question it. We can call it a crossover. I believe he posted his second video earlier today. This is my second. From the standpoint of our video so far, I am going to base this one as if you've seen the first. So a lot of the things I say, I might reference the first one. So, I mean, if you're interested in watching this one and you haven't seen the first one, maybe check it out a little bit. If not, use context clues. You can use them. You're bright. You're an adult. Maybe you know how to use a computer at least. But as in, between Scott's first two videos, he went from kind of an older album to something very different and very heavy. I have done the same. I have gone super heavy with the 1991 offering off A&M Records, the 8th studio album, the 12th overall, Amy Grant's Heart in Motion, contemporary Christian pop crossover singer. This album reached 10th on the Billboard 200. This album had 4 singles in the top 10, 5 in the top 20. It ended the years 91 and 92 in the top 25 on the Billboard 200. This album went 5 times platinum. This album is not the album I'm talking about. Honestly, were you worried? Be a little scared? A little afraid that is what I was going to go into? Just delve right into it. You can ask me if I've memorized those facts, and no, I have not. Wrote them down. Although I now know that album went 5 times platinum, and that is bonkers. Also, that it had 4 singles in the top 10. Crazy. The album I'm actually doing this on, which, I mean, I guess the little trick didn't get you because it would be in the title, is Throwdown's Haymaker. This is their 3rd full length on Trustkill Records. This came out in 2003. If you don't know Throwdown, they are a very breakdown-oriented band. Hardcore punk is kind of how they're categorized sometimes. A little bit of metalcore, maybe. There's the front cover. And the back. That's funny. Back on the back. And the wax on this, I actually have the red and white split. So I'm on there. And this is actually, it was limited to 850 copies, and I have one of them. Now to get into the meat of why I chose this album. As I said in the last album, it was used as kind of a rebellion tactic. It was a part of my life where I didn't have anything to rebel against, so I decided to rebel against the authority, if you will. Well, this album was still a rebellion album, yet it made me more who I am. It brought me back down to a person I wanted to be, and I wasn't being a person I didn't want to be. This album, though very heavy, very chugging riffs, very loud cymbal crashes, just a very screamed lyrics, shouted lyrics, not even really screamed, shouted lyrics. Very gang sung lyrics, if you will, not the pop punk gang sung lyrics that you hear in like A Day to Remember. I mean lyrics that once the song is on, if the song's being played live, everybody in the pit, everybody in the venue is screaming along because it's those kind of gathered together. And well, there's a common theme. A lot of community has to do with the albums I really enjoy. A lot of recognizing people like-minded. This album, although very hate-oriented, it sounds very like there's a lot of hatred involved. And there's definitely a lot of hate that goes into a lot of these songs. But it also uses the hate positively and sets good examples, if you will. Says things that you should be doing. In the intro, the very first track of this, it's titled Intro and then parenthetically Never Back Down. The lyrics are never back. There's some lyrics: never back down, never give in, just let the fucking bastards do themselves in. And if I said that that was the song that hooked me, that would be fantastic. I heard a song by these guys, by Throwdown, on, it was a compilation album. It was called the Take Action Tour. I think it was Volume 3. I guess the Take Action Tour was a tour of a lot of bands. It was an anti-suicide tour. I don't know if they were touring. It might have just been for the compilation album, but it was to promote suicide awareness and to try to prevent suicides. And the song "You Can't Kill Integrity" was on that. I think it was the 22nd track on disc 1. It was a 2-disc compilation. And when I heard that, it was kind of it for me. At the time, I was listening to a lot of extreme metal, if you will, a lot of fast riffs, a lot of solos, a lot of just wild, just very musically inclined things. Some things even didn't even need lyrics to that effect. But the lyrics spoke to me in such a way, and it may have been one of my first forays into breakdowns. This album is an album of breakdowns. It's just breakdown on top of breakdown, just crunching you and crunching you and crunching you, but lifting you up positively with a message with the hate. In the song "You Can't Kill Integrity," some of the lyrics are that "you can't take my pride away from me. That's the one thing you'll never take away. You can't kill integrity." Just fantastic. And I felt strength from that. That made me seek out this album, and upon hearing this full album, every single song I felt like was, yes, it's a little angsty, and yes, there's probably a little bit of my nostalgia that makes me enjoy this more now. I don't know if going into this first attempt you would enjoy it, because there is a lot of angst involved, but my nostalgia carries me through. This is still one of my favorite albums of all time. The song "Forever" is probably my favorite song of all time. The lyrics are still some of my favorite lyrics of all time, and it's basically asking, do you want to know why I do this? And then the breakdown, the chorus, if you will, is "for myself, for my friends, for my family, forever. I'll take this to the bitter end." And that was just wild to me, because I was listening to a lot of angry music. I was listening to a lot of heavy music, but I didn't really see this disguised love, if you will. I didn't hear too many of these metal bands saying we love our family and we love our friends. But I think that's the punk aspect of this. Because the punk scene has always been kind of a brotherhood, as I spoke of in my last video. But the song "Forever," I honestly felt something inside of me the first couple times I've heard it. Like, the first couple times I've ever heard "Forever," there was something in me where I was like, wow, this is special. And to me, that's exactly what this was. This made me just go and look into more of hardcore punk. This made me go and venture and find out more about breakdowns, more about Throwdown in general. There's a song called "Declare Your War," where it's all about declaring what your war is. You make your war. "Hate for the Weak" is another wonderful, wonderful title in here. Talks about hating the weak, and that they wrap their words around it. And then about the strength of overcoming hate. But by the way, not always the best ideas for the songs, where they talk about hating somebody and then talk about getting over hate. But deal with it. What else? What other songs we got on here? "Face the Mirror," "Raise Your Fist." All these songs are just. There's a song called "False Idols," where it's about not worshiping false idols. I really wish that I could express the impact this had on me. The biggest impact is not even the music itself, because along with all these songs, along with kind of the positive message they are putting forth, with the hatred that I was enjoying at the time, I don't know if they still are, but I believe at the time they were a straight edge group. If nobody knows what straight edge is, just a very quick thing: no drugs, no alcohol. There's different incantations where people say, even some vegans are considered straight edge if they're vegan and don't do any of those things. But straight edge is basically no drugs, no alcohol. And I was kind of floundering when this came out. I was not really doing the best things. I was definitely not straight edge. That's a fact. And I'm not going to say this was the reason I went straight edge, but I will say this was a big selling point of it. That all of my friends at the time basically were not really my friends. I found out afterwards. What we were doing together was all we really had in common, which was the drugs and the alcohol. So when I heard this album, I said, "There's another brotherhood of just people with like-minded beliefs, not just a similar occurrence in their lives." And this was anytime I ever had an urge, if you will, or anytime I ever was doubting what I was doing, this album was kind of a crutch. That it was there to tell me, there's a lyric, "Stay strong and rise above," and that is just that has spoken to me more than anything. This some of the lyrics in here, whether they wanted them to be or not, are such positives in my life that something will happen in my life, just something menial even. Somebody cuts in front of me and I'll get super, super heated. I get very angry in the car. But, one of their lyrics will pop in my head or something and be like, well, you know, I really wish I could express how much this record means to me. I really do. I got a chance to see them in 2000 and let's go 2006, maybe 2007. By the way, I'm not at all comfortable with saying 20-aught. That was the first time I've ever done it. I didn't like the way my mouth sounded with it. I will refuse to do it ever again. It was a short set by them. I believe it was at one of the big tours. I don't know which it was. But they had just put out their album. Actually, that would tell me what year I saw them. It may have been earlier than that. They just put out their album, Venom and Tears. And I met them. I got them all to sign my program of the show. Just I'm not going to say I sat there and stood around and talked to them for hours. But just the time, a little back and forth, very nice guys from what I could understand. There's a couple features on this album. There's one that has a Newfound Glory guitarist, and I'm gonna mispronounce the name. He's the same guy who was Newfound Glory guitarist. He was the lead vocalist of hardcore band Shai Hulud. He does a guest vocal on here. Also, I want to say Scott Vogel of Terror. I think he's on Nothing Left. I think there's one more, but I can't remember it. But these guys have I believe they're still together. After this album, they put out an album, Vendetta, I really enjoyed. Then Venom and Tears came out. I was iffy on Venom and Tears. They had another album called Deathless, which strayed away. They were growing as musicians, but I felt like they were also growing away from me and what I wanted from them. Revisiting them a couple years ago, I realized that it's still good music. It's just not what I know them to be. They have a very, very Pantera sound now, if you will. And, I'm a big Pantera fan, but that's just not what I wanted from them. But Throwdown will forever... Thank you. If you remember 5 minutes ago when I said Forever was the best song, my favorite song on this album. The Throwdown and this album, Haymaker in particular, will forever be in my top 5 albums of all time. Because it meant so much to me. It still means a lot to me. And if you're into breakdowns upon breakdowns, if you're into hardcore, if you're into metalcore, I don't know. I don't want to call it metalcore because it's hardcore punk, if you can call it that. It has a very there was a band, a hardcore band out of New York. They sounded a lot like, I can't remember who they are. I don't even know where these guys are from. I don't know. Tresco Records is in New Jersey, so they may be from New York. I don't know why I don't know that. But I love this album. Thank you for watching. If you give it a listen, let me know what you think, good or bad. Like I said, I don't know if it holds up because it's my nostalgia that takes me back. So if you listen to it, tell me your opinion. Tell me what you think about it. A lot of the songs may sound the same to you. I believe this is also the album that made me realize that this is the time when I got the acquired ear. And the acquired ear is when, if you listen to the screaming music, you can start to understand it. It's not very hard to understand this one, but when I would play this for some of my friends, they would ask me what he's saying, and I was hold on, you can't figure it out, you don't hear it. And I think this might be one of the albums that got me that acquired ear. And I'm, not trying to pat myself on the back, but I'm pretty good now. I can usually get most screams, depending on how extreme. As in Scott's video, Black Dahlia Murder has some wild screeches and some crazy lows that you can't figure it out because it just sounds. I can do them. Well, not that good, not even near that good, but I dabbled, if you will, as a vocalist. No singing though, can't sing at all. But Throwdown Haymaker means the world to me. By the way, I'm still straight edge. Straight edge. I went straight edge when I was 16, and I haven't not been straight edge. Now I just consider myself, it's just my life. I mean, I don't drink, I don't do drugs. There's this. I'm not wild, if you will. Despite what my appearance says to some people, I'm not wild. I don't go crazy and do wild things. I have a very boring life, and I think it was my ruckus upbringing, and every day was something different, and I didn't know what I was going to get into, and every day wasn't really. There was no structure, as I said in my last video. So maybe I enjoy being this, and not maybe, I do. I enjoy my life immensely now. I love the structure I've set. Do I hate it sometimes when I'm asked to do something last minute and I can't because I get anxiety over it? On the same hand, I get crazy if I try to plan something because I like being spontaneous. I got a lot of problems, and I realize it, so I'll figure it out eventually. Throw it on Haymaker, listen to it, let me know what you think. Check out Scott's AutoAudiography. I imagine if you're watching mine, you've probably watched his. He's a celebrity, if you will. He knows celebrities. Judging by his last AutoAudiography, you would get that. You would get that reference. But if you haven't seen his, watch his. This is a joint effort we're doing. We're kind of going back and forth with these, and I'm really enjoying the product. I'm really enjoying what's going on. I'm enjoying doing them, and we initially said we were only going to do like 10, but I don't know. I anticipate us just eventually reviewing albums that we listen to. Maybe next I'll do the Amy Grant album. Guys, 5 times platinum. 5. Amy Grant Heart in Motion went 5 times platinum. How? Well, go on Haymaker. I don't know if his salutes are right. I can't quite get up a 2-step like I'm in a pit. I don't know. I wish I had hand tape. I would do this. That'd be a nice end. Some hand tape. Maybe just some knuckles. Thank you for watching. Okay.